Hi everyone, I'm Alyssa. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Welcome to my channel. Today I thought we could do a fun casual tag video, and I saw Becky at Teacup the Storyteller first do this tag. It's the 101 books tag. Excuse me, sorry to interrupt. Yeah, it is not the 101 book tag, it is the 1001 book tag, but unfortunately and incredibly, every single time that I should have said 1001, I said 101. So here's the disclaimer. Here on out, please just add another zero mentally every time you hear me say 101. Thanks. Though I have very quickly noticed quite a few people on BookTube doing this, it's obviously a really fun tag video and I wanted to participate. This tag video was originally created by Sandy at Miss Reads a Lot, who is, from what I'm understanding, reading a book about the 101 books that you should read before you die. And I think that sounds like a lot of fun. This tag video has actually introduced me to both Sandy, the original creator, as well as Teacup the Storyteller. I hadn't seen either of these creators before, so I think that's really fun when tag videos can kind of introduce you to new people. I haven't watched a lot of their content, but they look pretty great, so you should check them out if you are so inclined. Now let's just jump straight into the prompts. So the first question is 101 lists. Do you follow any book lists? It can be prize lists or a challenge like the Rory Gilmore challenge. No, I don't have any book lists that are structured in any manner that I follow. I do tend to give myself quite a bit of assigned reading, such as at the beginning of the year, I'll make plans. I had a list that I've given myself before of books I should have read in high school, standard classics that I was never assigned and thus had never really gotten around to reading. And I have a lot of like projects of things I assign myself, but no formal list that I adhere to. Second prompt, 101 books. Approximately how many physical books do you currently own and how many e-copies? So I'll insert here some footage of my shelf of books. I actually don't own very many books. I'm generally not inclined to buy a lot of books. I tend to only purchase a book if there is a reason that I want to own it, and wanting to read it, if I can get access to it any other way, is not a reason to buy a book for me. So it's usually because I want to annotate it, or because I want to read it kind of slowly, like really long books fit into this category. I'll be more likely to purchase nonfiction that is maybe relevant to a topic that I'm wanting to research, so I would then likely want to cross-reference it, with other books in my library, things like that. Or another reason that I will spontaneously buy a book, almost one of the only reasons, if I am traveling, and I will purchase a book just for casual reading if I am like in another country, and then it is sort of like a souvenir because it reminds me of the country I got it from, and I read it on the trip. It's associated with the memories of that travel, and actually quite a few of the books that I own I have purchased for that reason. Prompt number 3, 101 books read. Approximately how many books have you read in your lifetime, and do you keep track? So yes and no. So according to Goodreads, I've read a little over 300 books, 305, which is probably a lot less than I would guess many of you would have thought that I have read. I don't know. I started keeping track roughly in college, and I remember I did add books to Goodreads that I could remember myself having read as a child and in my teenage years, but since then I've noticed a lot of books that I've read that are not on that list. So I don't know what the actual number is by any means, but that is fairly accurate, the books that I've read since roughly college, though like early college, but also I didn't really read a lot during college. So probably about 200 of those are probably since finishing college, or like, yeah, probably. Yeah, so it's definitely not a complete list, but I do enjoy keeping track of my reading now. Fourth prompt, 101 Arabian Nights. Have you read any stories from the Arabian Nights? Do you have a favorite? If you haven't read it, do you want to? I have not, but it's definitely on my list. I'll admit it's probably not very high on my list. It's not a very high priority to me, but I would definitely like to read it at some point. I have thought that this might be a really good audiobook that you could sort of slowly, casually read through or listen to, but I've wanted to do some more research on a good translation because that's always important to me. If it's a translated work and it's old enough that there's likely multiple translations, I have to do research and find the best one, and then there has to be an audiobook of that translation. So I haven't really gotten around to it yet, but I really do want to. 101 flavors. Do you have a favorite food or flavor? I love anything chocolate, absolutely anything chocolate, but I also love cheese. A charcuterie board is just heaven to me. I could also endlessly eat like cream cheese. I don't know, I love it. I also think that when it comes to food, texture is a really determining factor for me. So that really creamy, kind of like cream cheese, but also like pudding, or I don't know, that like really smooth texture. I love that. I love that. Okay, 101 pages. Have you read a book that is over 101 pages? Is there one that you recommend that is worth the time? What is the longest book that you have read? So technically, there's only one book I've read that is over this length, and it is the longest book I've ever read, which is the Bible. The King James Version, which according to Goodreads is 1,500 pages. I mean, it's up to you whether you would want to read that. I read it was primarily because it was assigned to me for a religious class when I was in high school. One that I would recommend is Anna Karenina, and this is the book that the next longest book that I've read, which I think is around 970 pages, so it's barely under that mark. This one is excellent. I listened to this book, which I would recommend that if you feel overly intimidated by the book and its length. I think listening to it is a really accessible option. For me, I really want to go back and read the book after I've sort of gotten a gist of the story in the auditory format. That being said, I do know that there's a specific translation that you really should read, which is this one. I would make sure to read that one. That is my little piece of recommendation. My brother, who knows Russian, was very adamant because I had started listening to a version of Anna Karenina that was not this translation, and he was like flat out, absolutely no, Alyssa, you need to start over. You have to read the other one. He was very adamant. So this one's worth the hype. Yeah. 101 numbers. Do you have a lucky number? Is there a story behind it? Honestly, I don't. This isn't really something I've ever been into, but when I was a kid, I really liked the number 9 because I guess it's backwards for you guys, because I would write it like this. Like most of the people I knew would write 9 like that, but I would write it like this, and I thought it was really pretty and really fun to write. So I would have said that was my favorite number, but it's not. I don't actually really care. It just was fun to write. 101 authors. Do you have a favorite author and or genre? I actually really like this question because this is something I've been thinking about recently. I have tentatively decided that something that I might make a goal for myself next year is to push myself to pick up other books by authors of my favorite books so far. That was a bit confusing. I don't feel like I have a favorite author or favorite authors because I don't tend to read a lot of the same books by the same authors. But there are a few books that I have loved that book, and I have a feeling that they are, it's not just a one-off occasion. They are a good author and I would enjoy their other works, but I haven't pushed myself out there to read their other works. For me, Immortals, Toni Morrison, Maggie O'Farrell, and possibly Frederick Backman kind of fit in this category of authors I would want to explore here. And I would maybe have to think about some other classic authors that I would want to read a bit more as well. And I think possibly the only author that I've read enough of their works that I could say that they're a favorite of mine would be Jane Austen. I think I've read all of her books. I can't remember. It's been a little while. I read all of them a long time ago, and I definitely love her work. She's at least one of my favorite authors, but I don't know all of the others. And as far as genre, I like to read pretty diversely, but literary fiction and classics have never let me down. So I really like those ones. 101 activities. Do you have a favorite outdoor activity? At the moment, I would say my favorite outdoor activity is just walking on a trail that's kind of near my house that is next to a river while listening to an audiobook. I really love that. Though also, I grew up in a house that had quite a big garden and lots of gardens, and I would work in the flower gardens with my mom all the time, and also on my own quite a bit actually. I really enjoyed gardening. It's a bit of a mixed bag though, because the house I grew up in had too much garden, so it was also a bit overwhelming and a bit stressful. So if I have a manageable garden that can be taken care of with leisure time without having to, I suppose, like overly commit my schedule to it, I do really like that as well. So the next prompt is 101 book clubs. Not a prompt, but a question. For the comments. Should I start a 101 book club with a book a month for a read along? Oh yes. So this one I think is referring to the original creator who is thinking of creating a book club relating to the book of 101 books you should read before you die book that she is reading through, if that made sense. So if that is of interest to you, then you should go check out the original video and join in on that book club if she does decide to do that. And the last prompt is, of course, to tag people in the video. So because it's been around a lot, I don't know if any of these people have already been tagged, but here are 5 people who I thought it would be interesting to hear their thoughts on this, in part because I think their taste in reading is pretty broad or very interesting to me specifically. So I have my friend Hannah Newell, who I don't think has ever done a tag video before, so if she's into it, I would love to hear her thoughts on these. Also Fran Nook in the Pages, and Britta Bolher, and Marina Mass Books, and Brandon's Bookshelf. If any of you are interested, please consider yourselves tagged. If you're not, interested in this tag video, then I will not take it personally. And of course, if you have not heard of any of these wonderful people's channels, you should definitely check them out, because I think they have excellent taste in books and I really enjoy their videos as well. So thank you for joining me for this fun little tag video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in another video. Bye!